so nice to see you all tonight. I wasn't sure how many would show up. Tena koto te whānau o Aotearoa Unitarians. Tena koto nā matahiri, no mai, hire mai. Ki tene whare karakia ate, atua, Mary Khouri himete, kia koto. Pardon? Thank you. Merry Christmas to all, and welcome to our annual Christmas Eve Candlelight service. In case you don't know, my name is Clay, and I have the privilege of being this congregation's minister, though I've been AWOL for a while. We're delighted you have chosen to share this special service with us. One we have celebrated 121 times since the doors first opened. However, it is only the second time that we have live streamed around the globe. To those who are joining us from a distance, welcome. To those who are here physically, we hope you'll stay after the service to share a festive light supper with us, catch up with old friends, and maybe make some new ones. A couple of housekeeping items first. Before we start our service, would you kindly make sure your mobile phone is on silent, unless it plays jingle bells. Should the need arise, there's a toilet in the entrance foyer where you came in. If there is a queue, there are two more available downstairs. They can be accessed through the doors to my left. In the case of an emergency that requires evacuation, please use the door you entered in or go down the stairs. The exit signs will guide you and are well lit. And in this COVID era, we encourage mask use and being conscious of social distance. We do have these air filters that are supposed to help protect us, but they only work so far. And now concerning the reason you came tonight. Tonight's service acknowledges the roots of our Unitarian faith by celebrating the Christmas story, but just as importantly, the delights of the southern hemisphere summer solstice. Christmas is an inclusive holiday, offering joy, peace, hope, and goodwill to everyone, be you Christian, secular, humanist, pagan, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, or none of the above. I invite you to stand if you're able to sing Joy to the World. Be forewarned, they may not be the words you are familiar with. Please be seated. All around the world, the light of honest thought shines, showing us the path for our own authentic. All around the world, the warmth of community glows, drawing people in from loneliness and estrangement. All around the world, the flame just burns. Inspiring people to acts of faith-filled courage. Here too, may the light and warmth of this chalice be to us a beacon of truth, generosity, and compassion, that we may learn the ways of faith and love. We're the first place in the globe to light our symbol of Unitarianism. So we're showing the rest of the world the way to go. I now invite Nina to come forward with our opening words.
Tēnā koutou I tēnei ahi whānau. Good evening, family. It's my honour to read our opening words, a Christmas meditation by Gary Kowalski. And I'll warn you, it's quite long, so sit back and relax. It ends in a meditation and then a prayer. Once more, the years turned round. We've come full circle on this small planet, spinning down the grooves of change, another revolution completed around the sun. Another year older, another set of rings on the tree, as seasons parade in endless procession. People's troubles and prayers remain the same. The worries don't change. Generation after generation making the same mistakes, so many thousands of circuits, in a world filled with war and woe, full of sound and fury, bleared, smeared with toil, the ebb and flow never ending, the grating sound of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling at their return up the high strand, begin and cease, and then again begin, with tremulous cadence slow, but bringing us always back to Christmas. Back to a place we've always known, where we've never been before. Back to a time that stands outside of time, not part of that regular orbit, but the axis of the year. A still point, a fixity, the centre post and the ridge pole, around which all the rest revolves. Christmas, telling us that history isn't just chasing its tail. Telling us that history isn't just chasing its tail, not merely repeating the same old tired story over and over of dog eat dog, might makes right, every man for himself, blow for blow. Not a tale told by an idiot, but assuring us that history has a direction and time has a purpose, that lines are real as well as circles, that the human saga has a goal, still to be realized, yet mysteriously present. already here among us, that the holy is enacting a new story on the earth. Christmas isn't a creed we have to believe in. It's not a feeling that comes and goes. It isn't something that happened long ago, or didn't happen, as the case may be. Christmas isn't a story we tell so much as a drama in which all of us have become participants, whether we feel like it or not, whether we believe in it or not, whether we like it or not. Christmas is a reality, here and now, just as love is a reality, and compassion a possibility hidden inside every interaction of how we choose to be with one another. For whether we like it or not, we are all brothers. And whether or not we believe it, we are sisters born of a single womb. Whether we like it or not, we are all one tribe and share one fate. Separateness is the illusion, while interdependence is the plainest fact. We know it in our heads, and when we know it in our hearts, then the centre will be everywhere, and the circumference will have no boundaries, and the sun will rise on a new and different kind of dawn. So we join now in meditation. In this moment of half light, half shadow, the glow of candlelight and starlight, we are able to look out upon the world, not with the eyes of day, but with another kind of vision, the illumination of faith, not sight, a twilight where edges soften, harsh outlines begin to gentle, and the colours start to fade. No more white or black, red or yellow, but one common race of humankind, and peace descends on all. In this half-light, the familiar becomes strangely unfamiliar. What we thought we knew seems perhaps more wonderful and sacred. Our lives, the people who share our world, the things we took for granted, seem more precious, more beloved. And goodwill is a presence we begin to sense, palpable like a pulse, the heartbeat of a great organism, a world praying in unison for a kinder earth, a more humane future. Spirit of candlelight, be with us, we pray, when this night has come and gone, in the glare of conflagration, in the harsh combustion of events. Kindle these friendly candle lights to guide us on the path.
Joy Cowley wrote a number of years ago a poem about what it means to celebrate Christmas below the equator. She calls it upside down Christmas. It captures our reality of living on a day when we have to wait quite a while to have a candlelight service because the day goes long. Let us stand now to sing Upside Down Christmas. Robert Fulgham is a UU minister and writer, and he writes one of my favorite Christmas stories. And Ted Zorn is going to come up and read it and have fun with it.
Our church had not had a full-blown Christmas pageant in years. For one thing, we had become fairly rational about the season, content to let the Sunday school observe the event on their own turf in a low-key way. Then, too, there was the last time we had gone all out. That time, the week of the Christmas pageant coincided with an outbreak of German measles, chickenpox, and the Hong Kong flu. The night of the pageant, there was a cyclone, a partial power failure that threw some people's clocks off, and one of the sheep hired for the occasion got diarrhea. That was about par for the course, since Joseph and the two wise men threw up during the performance, and some little angels managed to both cry and wet their pants. To top it off, the choir of teenagers walking about in an irresponsible manner with lighted candles created more a feeling of the fear of hellfire and the wrath of God than a feeling of peace on earth. I don't think it was really all that bad, and maybe all those things didn't happen in 1 year. But a sufficient number of senior ladies in the church had had it up to here with the whole hoo-ha, intended to squelch any suggestion of another pageant. It was as if cholera had once again been among us, and nobody wanted to go through that again. But nostalgia is strong, and it addled the brains of those same senior ladies as they considered the pleas of the younger mothers who had not been through this ritual ordeal and would not be dissuaded. It was time their children had their chance. And in short order, the people who kept saying, "I ought to know better," were right in there making angel costumes out of old bed sheets, cardboard, and chicken feathers. Just the kind of bathrobes could not be found, just the right kind of bathrobes could not be found for the wise men. So some of the daddies went out and bought new ones and backed a ute over them to age them a bit. One of the young mothers was pregnant, and it was made clear to her in loving terms that she was expected to come up with a real newborn child by early December. She vowed to try. An angel choir was lashed into singing shape. A real manger with a real straw was obtained. And while there was a consensus on leaving out live sheep this time, some enterprising soul managed to borrow 2 small goats for the evening. The real coup was renting a live donkey for the Mother Mary to ride in on. None of us had ever had a chance to see a live donkey ridden through a church chancel, and it seemed like such a fine thing to do at the time. We made one concession to sanity, deciding to have the thing on a Sunday morning in the full light of day, so we could see what we were doing, and nobody in the angel choir would get scared of the dark and cry or wet their pants. No candles either, and no full rehearsal. These things are supposed to be a little hokey anyhow, and nobody was about to go through the whole thing twice. The great day came, and everybody arrived at church. Husbands who were not known for regular attendance came, probably for the same reason they would be attracted to a train wreck. It wasn't all that bad, really, at least not early on. The goats did get loose in the parking lot and put on quite a rodeo with the shepherds. But we hooted out the carols with full voice, and the angel choir got through the first big number almost on key and in unison. The Star of Bethlehem was lit over the manger, and it came time for the entrance of Joseph and Mary, with Mary riding on the hired donkey, carrying what later proved to be a Raggedy Andy doll, since the pregnant lady was overdue. It was the donkey that proved our undoing. The donkey made 2 hesitant steps through the door of the chancel, took a look at the whole scene and seized up, locked his legs, put his whole body in a cement condition well beyond rigor mortis, and the procession ground to a halt. Now, there are things you might consider doing to a donkey in private to get it to move, but there is a limit to what you can do to a donkey in church on a Sunday morning in front of women and children. Jerking on his halter and some wicked kicking on the part of the Virgin Mary had no effect. The president of the Board of Trustees, seated in the front row and dressed in his Sunday best, rose to the rescue. The floor of the chancel was polished wood, and so, with another man pulling on the halter, the president of the board crouched at the stern end of the donkey and pushed, slowly sliding the rigid beast across the floor, inch by stately inch. With progress being made, the choir director turned on the sound system, which blared forth a mighty chorus from the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, accompanied by the Philadelphia Orchestra. Just as the donkey and his mobilizers reached mid-church, the CD player blew a fuse, and there was a sudden silence. And in that silence, an exasperated voice came from the backside of the donkey. "Move your ass, you son of a bitch." He chose this. Followed immediately by a voice from the rear of the church, the donkey pusher's wife. "Leon, shut your filthy mouth." And that's when the donkey brayed. If we'd had an election for jackass that day, there would have been several candidates mentioned, and the vote would have been pretty evenly distributed. We are such fun to watch when we do what we do. And though it has been several years since the church held another Christmas pageant, we have not seen the last one. The memory of the laughter outlives the memory of the hassle. And hope always makes us believe that this time, this year, we will get it right. That's the whole deal with Christmas, I guess. It's just real life, only a lot more of it all at once than usual. And I suppose we will continue doing it all. Get frenzied and confused and frustrated and even mad. And also get excited and hopeful and quietly pleased. We will laugh and cry and pout and ponder. Get a little drunk and excessive. Hug and kiss and make a great mess. Spend too much. And somebody will always be there to throw up or wet their pants. As always, we will sing only some verses, and most of those off key. We will do it again and again and again. We are the Christmas pageant, the whole damn thing. And I think it's best to just let it happen. And at least one person I know can attest, getting pushy about it is trouble.
It's not exactly biblical, but I love it. This morning, several of our members came and made sure it looked a little like Christmas. And they put up our Christmas trees. And I thanked them. So in their honor, let us stand to sing, O Christmas Tree. A number of years ago, when I served another church, I invited Joy Cowley to write us a Christmas story. And she wrote it for us. And she's done a couple of them. This is called The Giver. And I invite Rachel to come forward and read it.
The Giver by Joy Cowley. Well, he would, wouldn't he, that man of mine, heart soft as butter in the sun. Told them they could camp in the road paddock, and then, when it rained, wanted them to come up to the house. Not on your life, I say. A couple of stray hippies turned up out of the blue, all rags and tatters, and you want them up here for Christmas? Just until their tent dries out, he argues. They're nice kids, Meg. Sure they are, Albie. Like everyone is nice. That garage fellow and the nice contractor who sheared more than sheep. Albie, we are not doing this. It's 2 days to Christmas. I've got the room set up for the children coming home. I was thinking more the sleep out, he says. Sleep out? I flap the tea towel at him. Albie, that's where we've stored all the Christmas presents. There'd be enough space. He twists his hands, soft beggar. And I know he's already told the campers they can move in with us. They can sleep in the woolshed, Albie. Plenty of space there, and it's dry. We've got rats in the woolshed. You mean they've been living in a rat-proof tent? Oh, come on. The woolshed will be fine. He picks up the extra tea towel and helps me dry the dishes. I have to say this for him. He might be soft, but he doesn't give in easy. Meg, I was thinking more of her. The girl, she's young, and obviously she's old enough, I tell him. The baby's due in February, he says. They're going to her parents' place in Rangiora. For Christmas? No, he says, New Year. So, where do they plan to spend Christmas? He doesn't answer, but I can hear his thoughts clear as a bell. I fold my arms. Woolshed, Albie. You run the farm, I run the house. This is your problem, so you solve it. He goes quiet, walks out the door to put on his gumboots, and next thing I see him ankle deep in spring grass, hiking off to the road paddock and the woolshed. The storm has swollen the creek and I can hear it roaring, and the steamy air is rising to lumps of cloud that promise more rain. They'll be okay in the shed, their tent hung over the pens to dry, their sleeping bags spread on the floor. There's even a kettle and a microwave in the smoko room. Sheer luxury compared with a tent not much bigger than a wool sack. Anyway, they've been living at the Shoal Bay commune, so they're used to roughing it. He's what, 18? Maybe 20? Skinny kid with not much to say except, cool man, and way to go. She's younger, long hair, naively cheerful, a tight shirt, tight skirt. Happy Christmas were her first words, and I realised she had more than a turkey in the oven. Albie comes back for a bucket and a mop to clean the woolshed floor. They're going to scrub it, he says. We'll need some detergent, disinfectant. He waits, hoping I'll back down. You know where it is. I point to the laundry. Make sure you bring it back. By the time he's put it all together, the new batch of date scones is ready, and I put a few in a bag in the bucket. They'll love those, he says, and away he goes. I wonder if he's fed the dogs and shifted the lambs to the top paddock, or is he expecting me to do that? After that, he must have gone off to do his farm chores, because it's the young couple who return the bucket and mop. Thanks for the breads, the girl says. Scones, I tell her. Date scones. Whatever, says the boy. Cool stuff. Big change from baked beans. I turn to the girl. Surely you're eating more than baked beans. You need a healthy, balanced diet. The boy shrugs. Oh, yeah, man. We do all that health stuff. Fruit and yogurt, she says. Bananas. I got a craving for bananas, but we've run out. Thanks for the lend of the cleaning gear. You're all set up in the woolshed? Oh, yeah, cool, man, he says. Tent's drying. Nice of you guys. See ya. They walk away, holding hands like children, and I feel despair for them and others like them who are so careless about commitment and new life. You'd think nature would know better than to have kittens bearing kittens. The thought of them spooning baked beans out of a can turns me cold. I look through the pantry loaded up for Christmas and fill a wine box with the kind of stuff she should be eating. Muesli, milk powder, dates and raisins and nuts, a couple of tins of ham, a spare cake, a bag of dried banana chips and some fresh stuff from the garden. Albie's not around, so I walk down there myself, through the sheep gate and up the ramp to the top floor of the woolshed. Well, I know I'm not carrying a winning lotto ticket, but they could say more. They go casually through the box saying cool and thanks. And then the boy said out of the blue, got any rat bait? What? And she says, "Rats freak me out." "Oh, I don't know. Albie might have some. I think there might be traps in the garden shed. I'll have a look." "I don't want you to go to any trouble," she says. I notice that they've set themselves up in the corner near the smoko room, and they've spread the tent and sleeping bags on the rails of the sheep pen. "Your sleeping bags got wet too?" I ask. "They'll be dry by tonight," the boy says. I get the impression they're kids not much used to conversation, because their words are as scarce as summer rain, just a few spots here and there. But they do talk a bit about her parents in Rangiora and how her dad is going to get him a job on a building site. It's a relief to know she's been to a doctor and had a scan. "Boy or girl, it's going to be called River," she says. "We were camping by a river when we got pregnant." "Have you got any children?" "4, I tell her. 2 boys and 2 girls, all grown up." The boy grins. "Cool, man," he says. "Way to go." Back at the house, I rummaged through the shed. No rat traps, no bait. Although since we lost the cat, there's been a big infestation of rats in the wool shed. They're so bad, they chewed through the bottom of the metal coffee pot in the smoko room. When Albie comes in for lunch, I talk to him about it. He says, "I meant to get more rat bait last trip to town." "Did you know their sleeping bags are still damp?" He nods over corned beef and salad. "If it were just those 2, but there's the baby, Albie. I think they'll have to come up to the house." He looks up, his eyes going soft, daft beggar. "I'll fix up the beds and the sleep out," he says. "Don't worry," I tell him. "I've got it worked out. We'll go in the sleep out and they can have our room." I reach for the salad dressing. Remember when I was pregnant, how I always needed a good night's sleep?
Our next song is "It Came Upon a Midnight Clear." It was written by Edward Sears in 1849. His context was the social strife that plagued America as the Civil War approached. So glad they got that all solved. He was a Unitarian minister, and he focuses not on the birth of Jesus, but the message of the angels. Peace and goodwill to all. Now, to a world still torn by strife, let us stand if we're able and to sing and act like the angels. Every year I have a woman read this poem, but I thought I'd give it a go this year. It's called The Queens Came Late. And back in the Persian court, women and men were magi. And so the story biblically says men came, but maybe they got it wrong. The queens came late. The queens came late, but the queens were there with gifts in their hands and crowns in their hair. They'd come, these three, like the kings from afar, following, yes, that guiding star. They'd left their ladies Lenin's looms. Their children played in nursery rooms and told their sitters, take charge, for this is a marvelous sight we must not miss. The queens came late, but not too late, to see the animals, small and great, feathered and furred, domestic and wild, gathered to gaze at a mother and child. And rather than frankincense and myrrh and gold for the baby, they brought for her, who held him, a homespun gown of blue and chicken soup with noodles and a lingering, lasting cradle song. The queens came late and stayed not too long, for their thoughts already were straining far past manger and mother and guiding star, and a child aglow as a morning sun, toward home and children and chores undone. We're now about to have our koha, and at Christmas time, we're called to be especially generous to those in need. This year, our koha will be shared with Rainbow Youth, which we do every year, UN humanitarian efforts in Ukraine, and the New Zealand Food Network, which collects quality surplus and donated bulk food. Our management committee has pledged to match your generosity dollar for dollar. Please be as generous as you can. And while you're collecting it, we will hear some special music by Sophie, our daughter, actually. So, O Holy Night. If you've been following the news, you know that America is in a deep freeze. Almost the entire country is in blizzard conditions. It almost makes me homesick. To help me get over that, Kate Lewis is going to read a portion from Garrison Keillor's book, The Christmas Blizzard. Come forward, Kate.
His phone rang. It was his cousin Liz in Loose Leaf, North Dakota. "Do you have a minute?" she said. "What is it?" "You're in a rush. I can hear it. Listen, I'll send you a text message. Just tell me what's wrong. It's nothing important, so don't get all het up." "About what?" "Listen, Jimmy, I can tell I've upset you. I'll call back when you settle down." "What's going on?" "So you didn't hear about Daddy?" "What about Uncle Earl?" "I shouldn't even say. He didn't want you to know." "Know what?" "It's nothing. He's old. Everything comes to an end. There are no guarantees. We'll deal with it. You've got enough to worry about." "Tell me what's going on, Liz." "I shouldn't have said anything. He had to go into the hospital on Tuesday." "What's wrong?" "Daddy told me not to call you because he knew you'd be upset. I'm sorry I opened my big mouth." James took the phone in his right hand and whacked the table with it 4, 5, 6 times, and then said, "Liz, if you don't stop beating around the bush, I'm going to fly up there and give you a Dutch rub. Remember the Dutch rub, Liz? It stings. I can make you cry." "His left eyeball fell out," said Liz. "His eyeball fell out?" "It was only his left one. He was watching the Lawrence Welk Christmas special on TV, and Bobby and Betty did a beautiful tap dance to O Holy Night, and Daddy got weepy and rubbed his eye, and it just fell out. It was hanging by the optic. He has skin cancer, and it spread to his eyes. But they popped it right back in. He's fine, no problem. He didn't want me to call you and bother you." "Oh my God." "Anyway, could you call him and cheer him up a little? You know he thinks the sun rises and sets on you, and he still talks about the time you flew out here for his birthday. When was that, 10 years ago? Anyway, you mean the world to him, and frankly, I shouldn't say this, but I don't know as he'll make it to Christmas." And then she broke down and cried and hung up, not like Liz to fall apart like that, she being a member of the National Rifle Association and all. That's how James Sparrow, successful Chicago CEO, who would rather go to Hawaii and forget about Christmas, ends up flying to Loose Leaf, North Dakota, only to be stuck there in a Christmas blizzard. And of course, that's where he learns the true meaning of Christmas, in a fishing hut on a frozen lake, when an old Chinese man tells him what a difference in the universe his trip to North Dakota made. The old Chinese man says, "Your trip to Loose Leaf has resulted in much good. You have cheered up your uncle who is descending toward death and is now having a last encore of pleasure before he leaves." "When will he die?" said James. "Tuesday." "And you made peace with your cousin, whom you dislike, and you fought your other cousin to a draw, and that was good for her soul to be withstood. She's had it all her way for most of her life, and now there's a little hole in her roof and she can view the sky. Any way you can offer a fellow being a new prospect is a kindness. But the loveliest was your $20 tip for Mert, who was embarrassed by the generosity and meant to run after you and give it back. But the truth is, she's short on cash, and there is nothing shameful about need nor about what satisfies it. We give and we take. She takes your money, which she needs to buy a Frank Sinatra CD, Songs for Lovers, and a pack of Camels and a bottle of beer for her old Aunt Lois, who needs to feel 26 again and dancing at the Spanish Gardens Ballroom in Santa Barbara with Jack McCloskey, the textile salesman and her first true love. The night they necked in his pink convertible with the night breeze rich with eucalyptus and palm. And though she knew it was not long, he was not long for her arms, still he was gentle and sweet to her and told her he loved her over and over as he made love to her, which at 26 she had never experienced before. And so this was a revelation that despite the sarcasm of her sisters and the harsh remarks of her mother, Lois could be loved. And now, years later, listening to Mr. Sinatra and smoking a cigarette in her upstairs bedroom, she will call up Jack, who is 78 years old and in poor health in a care center in Provo, Utah, which Mert located via the internet. And Aunt Lois will tell Jack McCloskey that the memory of that January night remains a lamp in her heart. And this kind word, after years and years of sodden despair, will illuminate his night and move him to finally and absolutely sign over his wealth to the Jeremiah Program for Single Mothers, and thereby vast goodness will be achieved. The old Chinese man smiled for the first time in his monologue. So you see what you've done, Mr. Sparrow, more than you know. What about Christmas? James asks. What about it? It's a nice day. Take a long walk, sing more, and talk less.
Now, it's almost dark enough. It's almost time to have a candlelit service. So what I'd like you to do is take your order of service and your candle, and let's form a circle. And the circle need only be as big as the circumference that we need. But so you're all close enough to light each other's candles. We will do, during the meditation, we will, now you gotta come up here. Let's start on this end of the table. Now, don't be shy, people. Don't turn it all off. I can't see. I'll tell you when. Now, I want to explain something about how to light these. The person whose candle is lit does not do this. The candle, the person whose candle is not lit, lights it from the lit candle, okay? And you share it around the room. And once everybody has done that, I will say a brief meditation. And then Annie and Sophie will play Silent Night. around us. For even in the quiet, there is the gentle being with others. Rachel, that could go out. Share the light. Let us feel the warmth of our community, knowing we are not alone, for in the quiet shadow is the glow of life within all. Let us know in the darkness the gift each candle bears, a small flame, a diminutive light, yet the wondrous gift to kindle another's glow. Let us be in awe at this moment as we each take up the flame and the light envelops this room as hope for peace and goodwill fill this night. So may it be. Lights, please. You may, before we burn down this historic building, you blow out your candles. Yeah, and you may return to your seats. My closing words are by Howard Thurman. When the song of the angels is stilled, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and princes are home, when the shepherds are back with their flocks, then the work of Christmas begins. To find the lost, to feel those to heal those broken in spirit, to feed the hungry, to release the oppressed, to rebuild the nations, to bring peace among all peoples, to make a little music with the heart, and to radiate the light of love every day, in every way, in all that we do, and in all that we say. Then the work of Christmas begins. We're about to have our little supper. It'll take us a minute to set up, so don't run away. But to get us in the mood, I invite you to stand and sing a Christmas carol of extortion sung during the Victorian era. We wish you a Merry Christmas. The carolers, it was like trick or treat at Halloween. The carolers would sing, but if they didn't get a little gift or food, they might have been sorry. I just want to take a moment to give you an opportunity to thank Annie and Sophie, our musicians, for tonight. And to our readers who did such a wonderful job. I'm very pleased. Ted and Kate and Nina and Rachel. Oh, one shouldn't forget one's wife. So we do hope you have a Merry Christmas tomorrow. One thing you ought to know about Unitarians, the reason tomorrow you have it off is because of Unitarians. They felt it was a time for people to be with their families. So they passed laws to make sure businesses and banks closed on Christmas Day. So as you enjoy your day, thank a Unitarian if you know what one is. Thank you.